G'day, welcome to this tute on how to use filters in Excel. If you haven't already done so, please open the Excel file called Use Filters and Pivot Tables. It should look like this. As you can see on the first page, it's an extremely long file. If we scroll down, it goes forever. If we use a very quick way, Shift Control down arrow, we get to the very bottom of it, and you see there's 20,845 rows. It's an enormous file. You will actually have to use a file about this big when you do your Excel residential school activities. So we clearly need a fast way to sample and select information out of a really huge data file. Before we move on, you'll notice that if we scroll down the file, we lose the headings at the top. So a quick way to put them up so we can always see it. So if we select the row below the headings here and go up to the ribbon at the top, push View, freeze panes, we'll now see that if we scroll down through the data, the headings stay at the top as we scroll, which makes it a lot easier to see. So back to the top. Before we move on, just so you can see what we might do with a data file like this, let's move to the next page called Chart. And you can see we've got a couple of graphs here that we can draw from this information. In this information, we're showing the average height of trees in the first chart every year from 2001 to 2006, and comparing the height of trees that grow along gullies in blue to the height of trees that grow along ridges in red. Similar graph for shrubs on the right. The data that those charts are drawn from is in these tables here, and as you can see we've got the average height of trees in gullies in 2001, 2002, etc, etc. All of this information is drawn from a big data table. Using filters will show you a simple way that you can select small subsets of data out of big tables very simply. So let's move back to our data table, back to the tab at the bottom saying data. It's very easy to make a filter. We first, up the top, move our ribbon back to the home view, the first big long view here, and you can see right on the end here we have a button called Sort and Filter. Before we push that, we will first just highlight, select all the headings. Okay, so all these cells year all the way across to height, select all those, now push the Sort and Filter button, move down to the Filter option below. Select that. As you can see now, in every one of these column headings, we've got a little triangle next to each. And if we click on any of those triangles, so for example subplot number here, it opens up a box below that and it shows all the values in that column for the subplot. So if we scroll up and down through here, you can see we've got subplots number 1 right through to 20. Okay. If you look at topographic position, click on the triangle, you see we've only got 2 topographic positions, gully and ridge. If we go across, for example, to the growth form on here and click on that, you can see we've got shrubs and trees in the growth form column. So a simple way to select just the tree data, for example, is to click on that arrow, turn off select all, and now just click trees. And all the shrub information is hidden. It hasn't been deleted, it's just not being shown. If you look on the left here, we've got the row numbers. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, 17, 25, 45. The numbers that are missing are the shrub data, they're just hidden. If we turn that back to growth form, and if we turn shrubs back on, you can see all those first rows here that were shrubs have been hidden when we select that for trees. So we put just trees back on once again. We can now use that on many columns in combination. We can, for example, select the trees that are growing on shallow soil. So if we say soil depth, select shallow, we've now got just the information from the trees that are growing on shallow soils. And just so you can see how many rows you've now selected, if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner of the spreadsheet, you'll see it's in the blue line there, it says ready 2,976 of 20,842 records found. So it's telling us that out of the entire data set of 28,000 records, Excel has selected 2,900 when we've selected the trees that are on shallow soils. Let's now select out the trees that are on shallow soils that are growing on gullies. We click that option for gullies in this column and have a look down the bottom left hand corner. You see there's now only 517 records, so there's not very many trees on shallow soils and gullies. So it's a very fast way of selecting just the information you want. We have to use it in a slightly different way when we go to height. If you look at height, we've got a continuous data set here, all the numbers from 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way right up to the tallest tree, 1,000 centimetres. If we wanted to, we could just select the trees at a particular height. For example, we could find all the trees that are 10 centimetres tall by clicking on 10, say OK, and you'll see there were 2 trees that were on shallow soils in gullies that were 10 centimetres tall. Let's put all the topographic positions up, gullies and ridges, just to see if there are any more trees there. And look, there's a whole lot more trees that are on gullies and ridges that are 10 centimetres tall. Now, selecting the trees that are just 10 centimetres tall isn't that useful. We might want to see all the trees that are taller than 10 centimetres tall. That's very easy to do. So if we click on the triangle next to the height column here, and we'll say select all, so we've got all the trees shown. If we now click on that little arrow and we say number filters here, we can see that we have equals, there's not equal, greater than or equal to. So let's select greater than. We want to find all the trees that are greater than 10 centimetres tall. If we put 10 there, select OK. If you scroll down through this now, you see that we don't have any that are less than 10. We're down to 2,900 records, you can see in the bottom left hand corner here. We can now select any combination of things we want. Let's put all the trees back on again. We'll select those that are trees on shallow soils in ridges only. And we've got now 2,400 records. We've got all the data from 2001 right through to 2006 here. If we want to just see the 2001 data, we click on 2001, we're down to 705 records. We click on the data from 2006, for an example, we're down to 233 records. If we want to copy that information somewhere else, say all the heights, so we can calculate the average height, let's just highlight that height column here, say copy, Control C, and I've got a tab at the bottom called temp. Just open. If we open that one, move up to the top and do paste, Control V, see we've copied all the height data for those 236 trees. We can now insert a formula there, such as average, and the average height for all the trees on the shallow soils and ridges in 2006 is 230.6 centimetres. Nice, quick, easy way to get the data we want. If we go back to data file again and go up, instead of selecting 2006 we select 2005. It gives us 318 records. We can again copy that height column down to the temp table here, move up to the top, and we'll just paste them in the next column, B, move to the bottom of that column. There's more entries here. If we put the average here, the average for the data from that year is 150. So we've got the data from 2006, we can calculate the average, we can calculate the average from the next year. So it's a nice simple way to select information out of a really big table, copy it into another place where you can calculate averages, sums, and enter that into a table which will enable you to draw graphs like this very simply. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll move on to the next tune soon. Bye.